How's it going, everyone? My name is Alex. To my left is Jeremy. Though when I point at Jeremy on my screen, I'm pointing away from Jeremy. So I'm going to point to both sides here. And one of those sides is Jeremy. And this is episode, God knows what, of the Shrubway series. It's been about, what, a week and a half now since we recorded something. I planned on recording last week, and then I got sick. Pretty sick. It was pretty rough, Jeremy. I could have used you here to cuddle me and nurse me back to health. Um, Jeremy, how was your time there in Jamaica? Did you smoke any ganja?
No, it didn't. It was a good time. Nice, great weather in the 80s, much warmer than it was here. Got to miss that cold snap when it was like about 14 below zero, at least here, for a couple of days. So that was nice to get away from that. And yeah, sipping on some nice daiquiris on the beach, doing some nice water activities. Couldn't have asked for anything better.
Well, Jeremy, you know what you could have asked for? That would have been better. You could have asked to have me there,
Right.
not
It's
sick.
not sick, exactly.
Jeremy, while we're on the topic of not this, I'm going to bring this topic up. We have a puzzle of Tommy Cutlets, the sponsor of this podcast, the Beagle, not the person. And I just put a piece into the puzzle during this opening. That's right, people. I'm that good. Hey, if you're a returning viewer, please consider dropping us a subscribe or a follow down below. It doesn't cost anything for you. It helps the show out immensely. Like it, comment, share it with your friends. Tell them that Jeremy's the sexiest motherfucker you've ever seen in your life. Um, and all that sort of good stuff. Jeremy, let's just jump into it. We've got so much sports that we could talk here, man. It's been a hot minute. Like I said, I was trying to do a couple solo shows last week, but between work starting up for me again, and I had a gig that I was doing that week too, so I was out every single night, and then also with the fever every single day, I was quite spent. So, Jeremy, why don't we start? Let's talk about how us as Giants fans are depressed as hell because Saquon Barkley rushed the Eagles to the Super Bowl and outstanding fashion, but only to be one up by, was it Will Shipley, who went for a 55-yard run and then a touchdown immediately thereafter. So, everybody that's screaming about Saquon this, Saquon that. Yes, Saquon's an amazing running back, but that Eagles offensive line busted a big hole for Will Shipley as well. Um, so, those of you out there that are screaming that the Giants made the worst mistake in the world by not re-signing Saquon, it sucks. We keep getting all this stuff. I think that the Bengals will get it if the Texans were going to the Super Bowl. I think the Raiders will get it if the Packers are going to the Super Bowl. I think the Titans will get it if the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl. But alas, none of those teams are going to the Super Bowl with former running backs who teams didn't want to re-sign. And here we are. Jeremy,
Yeah.
talk to me, big dog.
Yeah, so Saquon, I actually only on 15 carries, I believe, rushed for 118 yards and three touchdowns.
Yep.
And he started all off with a 60-yarder. Got to see a little bit of the game even in Jamaica. They did televise it there. So it was nice to see Saquon Barkley, I mean, just tear up the game. Kind of knew that going in that Washington's run defense is not top notch at all. So that Saquon was definitely going to have his opportunities to make some big plays that he did. And then I had actually thought in that first half when McLaurin scored the touchdown from Washington when they made it 14 and 12, like, man, this might actually be a ball game. And it turned out, then there was a bad turnover or there was a fumble on a kickoff return and then gives Eagles a short field and then they punch it in really quick. And then Washington just comes back to the field goal. And
Yep.
then, they try to make it interesting. The second half, they pull within 11, they get a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion, make it 34 to 23.
Yep.
And like, oh, maybe we can see a game here.
Yep.
And then I believe there was a fumble by Eckler. And then the Eagles make him pay for that. And then that was basically the game and ends up being 55-23. If you bet the under, bet the under for Saquon Barkley rushing yards, you won. If you bet over, you did not. His line was actually pretty high for this game, 125 and a half.
Yep.
We landed at 118. Usually he's been averaging actually almost, closer to 20 carries a game, and he only had 15, but that was all they needed from him.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jalen Hurts, well, it's because they were stacking the box and then Jalen Hurts is just hitting AJ Brown on the sideline over and over again. Um,
Right.
you know, it sucks, but it just sucks seeing two division rivals in that situation, right? I hate the Commanders a lot less than I hate the Eagles. I think most Giants fans would agree with that statement. Um, but alas, this is once again where we're at. As Giants fans, we have to root for the Kansas City Chiefs now to beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, something that Jeremy and I both didn't want to do. I'm hoping
No,
Jeremy's rooting for the Chiefs and not for the Eagles. I've seen a lot of Giants fans on Twitter talking about how they want to root for Saquon Barkley. Man, fuck that guy. He chose to leave. I don't root for Saquon Barkley. I root for the New York fucking Giants. I don't root for some former Giants player. No, screw that shit. Um, so it sucks, but you know what? At least the refs will make sure that the almighty Patrick Mahomes and his beautiful little bosom will win his third straight Super Bowl and fourth total here, because we all know that that's exactly what the refs are doing, or what the NFL wants to have happen. Any hoozle, but yeah, Jeremy, it's a shitty situation. I mean, what are you gonna do? Yeah,
yeah,
you're not gonna be happy about it as a Giants fan. Um, I still agree with the, not signing him. You get the same kind of production for less money, but then again, you look at the player
right.
you let walk, and then you sign Daniel. You still could have signed Barkley and McKinney, and probably signed all those offensive line pieces. But there's a reason why I'm not an NFL GM, and instead I'm just a college trumpet professor. It's just kind of not my thing, right? And I'm glad that I don't have that stress of having to make those decisions myself. So.
Right, and of course, and it's not a surprise with the way Saquon's season has gone because of that offensive line. It's not you can't compare that offensive line of the Eagles to the Giants' offensive line.
Correct.
There's really, you can't really compare the two. So say, hey, he left the Giants and now he's making a Super Bowl appearance, and why did you let him go? I don't look at it that way. I think I just look at how the roster is constructed with the Eagles, how it just sort of works
Yes.
much better for him than it does with the Giants. So
Yeah, exactly. They're a better roster from top to bottom than the Giants are, and Saquon would have had a 2,000 yard season this year. Um, so and also really quickly, everybody that was talking about him going for the rushing record, there's got to be a massive asterisk next to that if he gets that record, right? He had three more games than Eric Dickerson to do it, right? So Eric Dickerson having that record in 14 games. Anybody that breaks that record but takes them 17 games, there needs to be a massive asterisk there because it's going to happen eventually. Right?
absolutely,
It's kind
yeah,
of like breaking the passing touchdown record, right? You're going to have an extra game to do it. What was it, 50 passing TDs in a year? Was it Brady who said that, if I'm not mistaken?
yeah, that
Like,
sounds right.
it was either him or Peyton. So once again, if you don't do it in those, I'm not saying that it shouldn't count, but there's got to be an asterisk there saying this was done in this many more games than the other person, because that person, if Eric Dickerson had another three games that season, nobody even be sniffing that rushing record right now. Okay. I don't
Back
care
on
how good your
with it.
offensive line is and how good of a running back you've got there. So, yeah, that I caught the tail end of the Eagles Commanders game, and it was a close game until the fourth quarter. At least it looked that way on the scoreboard, until the Eagles decided to absolutely just bludgeon the living daylights out of Washington. And kudos to Jaden Daniels on willing his team to the NFC Championship game. We'll see what happens with Washington next year. They're not going to have high draft picks this year, so we'll see if their front office can recreate that same success they had this year with another really good draft class.
Yeah, just build on from the success of
Yep.
your rookie quarterback's first season. I mean, my gosh, now Washington's on the map. They're to be reckoned with in the NFC East and probably just the
Yep.
league in general. And here we go. Like I think Washington's going to be competitive next season. I mean,
Yep. Yep.
they were putting up something about their potential offense with an including Cam Scadaboo apparently, which I thought Cam Scadaboo was really targeting the Cowboys, but now it looks like his potential that he could go to Washington.
Well,
So,
Cam Scadaboo doesn't get targeted where he wants to go, right? He's
all
gonna
right,
he's gonna be
yeah,
drafted.
right, he doesn't, yeah, but
He can
the
target the Cowboys all he wants. If the Cowboys don't draft him, then he's not going to Dallas.
Right. I guess from a mock draft perspective, I guess I should say.
Yeah, okay. So the mock drafters were projecting him there. Okay. Um, okay, Jeremy. Now let's talk about the illustrious Patty Mahomes and his court of
We're
Travis
not
Kelce, Hollywood Brown, and
Xavier Worthy.
Xavier Worthy, and the assaulter Kareem Hunt and company. Man, um, it just must suck to be a Bills fan.
Yeah, they come up that close again, and they just don't get over the hump. They don't convert a crucial fourth down, which
Which they did. They did convert that fourth down. We have
right,
next gen stats because next gen has a chip in the ball. They have to get all these statistics, right? Of like angle and this, that, and the other. I mean, I'm assuming, right? And according to next gen stats, he got the first down. According
right.
to like he got the first down.
Yeah,
But
I didn't hear from any sports reporter or anybody say that, oh, he didn't get that first down. So I was like, well, I mean, they say he got the first down, mean that he really had it, but I guess there was like they went to an official that really didn't have the best view, and he's the one who ruled it short, and that was the call that they went with. Um, and they ruled him short, turnover on downs. And I would also go to another play in the game that was clear, crystal clear, even more clear than this play, where it was actually a holding penalty on the Chiefs, but the ball was really landed on the ground before it was caught by Xavier Worthy. It was sort of wrestled by a safety. I forgot his name, but the tip of the ball touched the ground. It was
yeah,
really like,
but the ball can hit the ground, right? As long as the ball doesn't jostle, doesn't lose possession, which I don't think he did. I think that's the right call. I will disagree with you strongly on that because the ball doesn't move when the ball hit the ground, right? The ball can touch the ground during a catch as
oh,
long as it doesn't start moving around, which it didn't. You know, I'm not a big Chiefs fan, big Chiefs guy, all right? But I'm not gonna question every call here, and
it was
I
also
think they got that
between
one
the two
right.
players. You couldn't tell really who had the possession. It was sort of like the defender had the ball,
Defender,
and then
you could tell the defender had one arm on the ball. You know how you could tell? Because he had a red glove, and Xavier Worthy and his two white gloves were hugging the ball on his chest. It was Xavier Worthy who had the ball. All right. So, in all fairness here, guys, right? Once again, I am not a big fan of the Chiefs. Xavier Worthy caught that ball. All right. Let's not be like Patriots fans saying David Tyree didn't catch that ball in Super Bowl 42. Right. He caught
that
that.
ball that ball didn't even touch the ground. Actually, I don't even think the tip of the ball. It was just cut. It
That's
was on.
correct. That ball never touched the ground. But based on the new catch rules, as long as the ball doesn't move once it hits the ground,
Right, as long as it doesn't move, that it is a catch, right?
yeah, which it didn't move. So, good for him. It didn't move. And we're stuck with a Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl, which I think if you asked the most depressed person in the world, what Super Bowl would you be least excited about? They would say Eagles and Chiefs. Which
That's
might be one of my former students from music and arts who would just like to relax by doing things that are relaxing. Jeremy, all right, let's play a quick game here. We're going rapid fire. Rapid fire, Jeremy, we're going rapid fire here, all right? All right, I
yeah,
want you to tell me hot or not, okay? Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl matchup. Hot or not?
not
Okay. Max Scherzer getting signed by the Blue Jays. Hot or not?
hot. Actually, I don't know. It could
It's
be.
hot.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, we're gonna come back to that one, folks. The Blue Jays is signing Santander. Hot or not?
Yeah, hot. I think that adds another. I think that adds another powerful bat. Heavy hitter bat in that lineup. So I think that's. I think that's a big deal for Toronto. They're trying to build something.
And if you ever played Smash with Jeremy, he likes his heavy hitters. All right, Jeremy, one more hot or not for you. Hot or not, Pete Alonso still not having signed, even though the Mets said they're out on him, but now allegedly they're getting closer in talks with Alonso. Allegedly.
Not.
I agree. I agree. Not. Now let's backtrack to this Max Scherzer thing, Jeremy. Last time Max Scherzer's thrown 88 innings over the last 2 years since he got traded from the Mets.
Yeah. Hey,
I,
maybe he.
I'm a big fan of not. That is not hot. All right. If you saw that at the bar and you right, if you were a single man, all right, if I was a single man and you saw that at the bar, would you try and bring that home with you? No, you wouldn't. Why not? Because the guy can't last for more than like this man has no endurance, if you know what I'm saying, ladies.
Right, no, for sure. I mean, maybe he comes,
You
and
know?
to like some, like 5 inning outings, is able to put up some strong solid innings. Maybe he could be a middle reliever. Obviously, like Scherzer's not really a reliever, and that he's really meant to be a starter.
And
Uh,
yeah.
I mean, it's pending all. Maybe he's fully healthy now. Maybe he's going to be coming to the season and he's fully healthy, but you can't trust his elbow. You can't trust that he's going to be able
Mets
to.
fans down below, do us a favor. How many times did we hear Scherzer is fully healthy, only for him to come back and get injured like 5 minutes later?
Well, same thing with DeGrom, right? Too, who was in Texas, right?
Yeah. hmm Yeah, look, I think Scherzer is going to be a Hall of Fame pitcher. He's going to have New York Mets next to his name. It won't be a Mets hat on it. It'll probably be a Nationals hat
Right, Nationals.
on
Definitely.
his bust, so to speak, right? But you're not going to turn a 38-year-old career starting pitcher into a middle reliever. You're going to now ask him, okay, now you're going to pitch every other day. He's not doing that,
Right.
right?
I'm
You're
just trying to think of a creative way they could use him.
yeah.
Maybe, I mean, Verlander's, 41. He's still pitching okay for it, considering, his ERA is usually around 3.5, even right now. He's still pretty productive.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Scherzer's a different. I think.
Sure, it's a different
Sorry,
case.
Verlander.
Andrew.
Um, I think he's a different animal. But I mean, last season his ERA was almost 5.5. So and if you all get like Scherzer, right, his ERA last season was almost 4. It's 3.95, right? So like obviously it could have been higher, but that's not an argument I want when I'm signing a pit. When if I was going to be going to sign a pitcher, that's not an argument I want to be making.
Right, of
You
course.
know,
Yeah.
um,
I
uh,
believe that's a 1 year deal. So,
yeah, I'd be shocked if he got more than a 1 year deal. I'd have to go and check that, but I'd be shocked if he got more than 1 year.
yeah.
Jeremy, since we last talked, um, the Ohio State University Buckeyes are the national champions.
They
No
are.
longer that team up north in the Michigan Wolverines.
Right. And even following that, I heard Paul Feinbaum say that that Big Ten football kind of rules the nation as of right now.
I mean, as of right now, I mean, SEC fans, you suck. I'm sorry. Right now, you are not as good as you once were. I mean, Texas, the Big Ten, I think, lost one game to an SEC school during the bowls, and I think it was Iowa. And listen, the Pac-12 the Big 12 can have Iowa. All right, they can take Iowa. We don't want them anymore.
No, I like having Iowa in the Big Ten. I know. I'm a big fan of Kirk Ferentz. That's why I like. He's been there for years and years and years, and they've
Yeah, and his
been.
offense is usually straight booty
That's
cheese.
bad. They don't get the players like Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State gets. They get maybe some 3-star athletes versus 4-star athletes, and they pride themselves on tight ends and their defense. Like even like T.J. Hawkinson,
Yeah, well, I know.
um,
Daniel Bellinger.
Daniel Bellinger, another one. So
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens next year with that. Penn State stole Ohio State's Jim Knowles, their defensive coordinator, away from them. So good to Penn State and the Nittany Lions. Their defense will be stronger. Be interested to see what Ohio State does there at defensive coordinator. Um, but obviously, this championship buys Ryan Day a lot of good graces from the alumni and the donors at Ohio State, who were calling
yeah,
for his head 3 months ago at this point. So good for you, Ryan Day. Congratulations.
yeah, no, good for Ryan Day. Very good. Get a round of applause for him.
That's right.
And although I mean, I was surprised that they won by the margin. I thought they were going to win by at least 2 touchdowns.
It was
Uh,
looking like it was gonna be a thumping after that first half, man.
Now, after that first half, you're like, all right, they're just being cruise control. No problem. They got that in the bag. Riley Leonard started making plays, making
Yep,
throws.
yep,
Jaden Greenhouse all of a sudden puts up a great performance in the second half, has 2 touchdowns. I think
yep,
he finished with well over 100 yards.
yep.
Uh, that's a guy maybe you can be looking for like a slot receiver in in the NFL at some point.
Yeah.
Sophomore, he's their third wide receiver option in their depth chart.
Yeah. And he'll move up that, and who knows? Ohio State, both of their running backs are going into the draft this year, and Henderson and Judkins. So, those will be another couple running back options there in probably the later rounds for people for teams if they're looking for a running back. If you could somehow get Henderson in the third, fourth round, I wouldn't mind the Giants taking a shot on him.
Absolutely, he could definitely bring something else to the table. He's a tough runner. He could break tackles.
Run
He doesn't
through
get mad
people.
very easily.
Yep. Yep. So it doesn't have that breakaway speed, but he will run you over. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on there. Senior Bowl's happening right now as well, Jeremy. I'm not sure how much you've been following that. I've been following Bobby Skinner and Talking Giants as they've been posting all over it. It sounds like the quarterbacks down there are absolutely tearing ass. They are shitting themselves. It sounds like it is just absolutely god awful down there right now. But that just makes me feel worse about them trying to force a quarterback in the first round. Okay, especially if Cam Ward and Shador Sanders go 1 and 2, which who knows if that will happen. Um, but once again, we don't get paid to make those decisions. I just hope that if the Giants make the wrong decision, it doesn't take them 6 years to move off of this guy, and hopefully we learn from our mistakes. Um, so Jeremy, do you have anything else you want to chat about?
No, I think you're bringing up the Senior Bowl. I didn't actually catch any of the Senior Bowl. I did not. I haven't heard any
I think
scouting
the
reports.
game's tomorrow, Jeremy.
Games tomorrow. All
Sponsored
right.
by
Yeah,
Reese's
I'll have to tune
Reese's
in.
Pieces, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. And then, I mean, I guess we're just inching closer to the draft. Well, it's third week in April, I believe.
In April, that's right. Yeah,
So we got about another 10 weeks or so to go, 11 weeks to go.
something like that. Yeah,
Inching
about 3 months left. A little less than 3 months left.
3 months left, right? About 3 months left. That's correct. So, I mean,
Right.
I
Pitchers
would
and
not,
catchers report soon.
right. And the Titans, I believe, are picking ahead of the Giants, if I'm not mistaken. I mean,
Yes,
they
it's the Titans, the Browns, and then the Giants. 1, 2, 3.
Right. So I think both of those teams, even I don't. I have a feeling that the Titans do not trust. They're not thinking Will Levis long term. I think
Yeah, correct.
he's sort of
Correct.
on the. And they're going to be drafting. They're going to be drafting a quarterback, and so are the Browns. They'd be silly not to. I mean, I know they're paying Deshaun Watson all this money that they're going to have to owe him, but they need somebody else in there. The
I,
Browns.
I would agree with you if they weren't talking about extending Myles Garrett. That's a win now move, and drafting a quarterback indicates you're going to take another 3 years to try and develop a guy, right?
Right.
So perhaps, if Shador and Cam do go 1, 2, I want Abdul Carter. I think he's probably the best player in the draft. And I want just to have an offensive line with Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Abdul Carter on it, right? Obviously, of those three guys I listed there second, you'd have that as a rotation there. But I think Abdul Carter is going to be an absolute stud. You could go Mason Graham out of Michigan. Um, I do think that given how Joe Shane has drafted, and we know this from Hard Knocks, he drafts for need. So I don't think either of those guys will end up in Giants blue, unfortunately. But if one of them does end up in Giants blue, I think it would be great. It would be fantastic. Get a pass rush going, build the lines. That's what I want them to do is just build the lines. But unfortunately, they're told you need to win this year, otherwise you're getting fired. So they're going to draft the quarterback at number 3, even if it's forcing Jackson Dart or Jalen Milrow instead of.
I, I'd still be very surprised if it winds up being Jackson Dart or Jalen Miller. I'd be very surprised. But I guess, things change as time goes on. Maybe,
Who saw Daniel Jones at 6 coming?
nobody did. I think even it's not Todd McShay. It was I think Mel Kiper or somebody else who was like interviewed and he was like saying, "Oh, I guess he was saying like I feel bad for Daniel Jones or something like that
Yeah.
about like He's drafted sixth overall now. He's got all this pressure and like, but I've been around him. I've seen him play. He's not real. He's not a sixth overall type of
Correct.
player.
Correct.
Um,
So, it does unfortunately happen, right? Desperate GMs make desperate moves. Desperate moves include drafting a quarterback at 3 who doesn't deserve to be drafted in the first round.
right.
What I'm hoping happens is they sign Justin Fields. Um, and then if you want to draft one of these guys, you let him sit behind Fields for if you can get Shador or you can get um
Or
Cam Ward. Cam Ward would be my preference. If you can get one of those guys, you get one of those guys at 3, and then you let him sit behind Justin for a year at least. Justin obviously hasn't had a lot of success in the NFL, but he's got all the natural ability and the traits that you look for in a starting quarterback. He's got the height, he's got the arm. He doesn't really throw with anticipation. But as Giants fans, we at least know you let him sit behind that guy for a little while. He's developing. You're doing what should be, I think, the right thing there. And then it's just a matter of waiting, just playing the waiting game. So, well, Jeremy, if you don't have anything else, right?
I was just going to bring up one other thing. I guess it depends on if the Titans and or Browns even would be open to trading a pick with the Giants because
Well,
maybe
that doesn't necessarily mean they have to trade because if they're going to grab Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter 1-2,
right then of course then that leaves them with Cam Ward or Shador. They have their pick.
or I could see the Titans taking a quarterback at 1, the Browns not taking a quarterback at 2, and then the Giants grab a quarterback at 3.
Yeah, that's very possible. I
Yeah,
could definitely see that happen.
yeah. Well, folks, if you've made it this long, please consider dropping a like, subscribe, tell Jeremy he's the most beautiful man you've ever seen on this side of the Mississippi. We're on opposite sides of the Mississippi, so you could tell him that, and I will not be offended. All right. Unless you call me the ugliest man you've seen on both sides of the Mississippi, in which case then y'all messed up for that. Um, Without anything else to say, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will be back with you probably early next week, and we'll hope to get back on a little bit of a cycle here, rotation. Um, until then, thank you for tuning in. And as always, back
After.
to this.